I'm Bob Kuykendall, Associate Broker at ARC Realty, and this is Market Movers. I got my license in 2015 while I was still employed full-time as a U.S. Special Agent with the U.S. government. So I worked for the first 3 or 4 years. I was planning to go full-time in 2022, but I was having so much fun. I knew I was going to love it. I retired the minute I was eligible in 2018 and went full-time. As far as the type of transactions and properties I deal with, mostly residential. I have dabbled in land and commercial and investment and even rentals. I really let the clients and the people who need help make that direction for me. If someone calls on me, they need help, they have a son that's going to rent, I don't turn them away. I just let that dictate the business. But the majority of my business ends up being residential in the Jefferson or Shelby County, Birmingham areas. Because I spend so much time with my clients, what I would consider an area of expertise for me is the first-time home buyer. Lately, somehow I've also been dealing on the other end of the spectrum with a lot of estate properties, like families who have a death in the family and then they have property. I went through that with my mom last year, and so I kind of have a passion for that, helping those people that are facing that type of transaction where it's kind of an emotional thing. They're not just selling for fun. I mean, this is like a lot of emotion. So I like both ends of that. The first-time home buyer that really needs a lot of hand-holding and expertise and negotiating and strong fighting, but in an honest and ethical way that keeps everybody hugging at the closing table. And then on the other end of the spectrum, those estate properties, I really enjoy that as well. So what I try to do that's a little different, I think, as far as an approach for from getting to point A to point B, is I really rely heavily on training of 30 years in the federal government, from the negotiation to the relationships of dealing with the other realtors on the other side of the table. It's really a lot like it was in federal law enforcement, where you have defense attorneys that, the federal agents or the law enforcers think, oh, those defense attorneys on the other side. But they are kind of on the other side of the table, but you have to work with them. You have to work with them to reach an agreement. And that's what I love that's so fascinating about this industry, that I feel like I do well, is coming together on a team with people that were 10 minutes ago, they were your competitors, and now you're on the same team trying to get a transaction from point A to point B. So that I brought from the federal government. The negotiation, of course, I was trained for multiple sessions on interview and interrogation skills. That carries over well. But the other thing that I do well that really sets me apart, I think, is my responsiveness. I treat every one of these clients, every time the phone rings, I answer day or night, 24/7. And that comes from a world of the phone rings. It could be something super like life-threatening, urgent. You have to immediately respond. I brought that with me to this real estate world, and I think it bodes very well for my clients. I think the most effective step in communication is setting and maintaining expectations, and there are different parts. As a matter of fact, I mentor multiple agents, and one of the things that I've developed for them is a checklist, and in that checklist, there are periods of time when it's very appropriate. Something has just finished, you've just finished the inspection, you're in a bit of a waiting mode. That's the time to revisit expectations. Here's what has happened. Here's what happened like we thought it would. Here's what happened a little different. Here's what I think is going to happen. Keeping up with those expectations is absolutely critical. And the key to a successful transaction is the expectations, keeping the expectations, even when a client is not overall happy with something that's going on in their life because of the move or the relocation. If you continually share, communicate, and set and revisit those expectations, you will keep that person on your side and realize that at the end of the day, yeah, things may not go great outside of something I can control, but I'm on your team fighting for you. And so if you keep those expectations in place and on the top of the list of discussion items, you're going to be much better off in the end. But you asked a question about the most successful transaction. I love it when people say, what's your most successful transaction? Because what they're usually saying is the same misuse of the word success in this industry. That is the biggest dislike I have. Success in this industry, the bar, the AREC, brokerages all over town define success by volume. I've sold $30 million in volume. I am successful. My most successful transaction that I absolutely love, and I wish I could do 10 more, was a young single mom, a black female, 30 in her early 30s, single mom, hardworking mom, wanted to go and look at a $36,000 property. I went with her, and I was so sad. She said, I've called a ton of agents and nobody will go with me because I know I'm not spending a lot of money. We went in a house that she liked, and when she said, do you think we could really buy this for $36,000? And I said, no, we're going to get it for much lower. And we negotiated. We ended up buying the house. She ended up buying the house for $30,000. And 6 months later, invited me back to a family barbecue at that house, which she had renovated, was living with her 5-year-old son. We were hugging and high-fiving. People were so happy at her success and what she had done. And I was a small part of that. That's the way that I define success. That is a successful realtor to me. I get asked a lot about market trends and what's going on, the changes in the market. And this is probably going to sound weird, I think, but especially like when it comes to interest rates, you have those lenders that you know and you trust, and you can refer to them and they will answer just like me. They have the same phone etiquette. They're going to answer day or night. You have those people that in your partnership, it makes it easier to say, look, keep in mind, most of my clients, I would say 70% of my clients, or maybe even more, they're not just buying for fun. They're buying because of death, divorce, relocation, loss of job, new job, baby, that kind of thing. So it's not like they're picking and choosing, do I want to buy now? How much are the interest rates? 7, oh, I'll wait. No, these people have to. So regardless of the trends, my focus is, here is a need, here is a client or customer. They have a need right now. They have a need to sell. They have a need to buy. Those things that are impacting the market, whether it be sales, trends, inventory, are kind of like secondary. That's just an obstacle that I am going to have to fight with, and that's why they're entrusting me with their need to buy or sell, is to say, here's a client, okay, what is the current situation? It doesn't really matter what it was last month or last week. What is it right now? What's my hurdle, my biggest obstacle that I have to fight through to get my person from point A to point B where they need to be? So when it comes to my marketing strategy, I first want to tell you, I've done everything, you name it, and I've done it. I've done TV commercials, literally a TV commercial. I had a radio show. I've done billboards, mail outs, postcards, magazines. I've sponsored every little kid's Boy Scout, Girl Scout troop from here to Timbuktu. But it all comes back to the database. It all comes back to people that you know and you trust. And what a great way that you can use this business to stay in touch with people, human beings. This business gives you a reason to reach out and stay in touch with people that you've crossed paths with in your life. If you focus on that, focus on the relationships. I know it sounds so cliche, but just using your database to say, oh, I need to call 7 people today. You think you're doing it for your business. No, you're doing it for life. You're doing it because that's what makes you tick, is your interactions with other people. So it's funny, I'm not using relationships to help the business. I'm kind of helping the business to strengthen and make long-lasting relationships with friends from the past and customers and clients who have become friends. And I'm happy now that I can have those people to call on. I'm playing golf tomorrow morning with 2 clients that I've met this year that we're just friends now. So that marketing strategy is really not a marketing strategy at all. It's putting names of my people, my connections, my friends in a database and having relationships. And those relationships, they're not all clients. Those people that are in my database, that my relationship, my touch points, they're ambassadors for me. They're there to tell a friend or family, I know a guy. If you're getting ready to buy or sell, I know a guy. He's a friend. That's the marketing. That's the trick to all of this. So the steps that I have for smooth closing, and obviously you can't really ever ensure a smooth closing. That's what makes this business so great. But I have developed, and for the agents that I mentor and coach, I've developed a 99-step process called the Realtor Roadmap. And it is, I believe, a fantastic tool that I share with my clients during a transaction of, they could start at any point in the process. We just went under contract. What's next? Earnest money. What's next? Set the inspection. What's next? Inspection period. What's next? Inspection release. 99 steps on the listing and buyer side that I developed initially to train and coach new agents. But now I share that with my clients so they know exactly what's coming down the road, what's next, what's going to happen. I even have a what if, like, okay, if this happens, then, plan B, one of those little things with a diagram, and this goes here. And this is a complicated business. But if you set those expectations and share those with your clients up front, it almost becomes a fun little journey that every realtor should be humbled to be a small part of those people's life decisions in either buying or selling homes, rental homes, investment properties, but from getting point A to point B. It's a big deal to be a part of people's lives in that way. People trust us, and I think more agents should really pause and consider how blessed they are to be just one little small part of those people's lives. I'm so appreciative for every single client, and it makes me want to work twice as hard for them.